Okay, today in Algebra 1, we're going to be looking at Unit 3, Two Variable Statistics, and this is Lesson 1 where we will be discussing two-way tables. Let's look at some categorical data. A scientist is trying to determine the role of specific genes by looking at traits of fruit flies. The offspring of two fruit flies are examined to determine the color of their eyes. So what we need to know is that the color of their eyes is considered a categorical data, so there's a category involved. And then the other category is whether they have curled wings or standard wings. So you can see that this table they created, we have our curled wings and our standard wings, and then we also have our red eyes or our white eyes. 80 offspring are randomly selected and the results are recorded in this two-way table. So the first question they have for us is to describe what the 17 in the table represents. So when we look at the 17 in this table over here, we're looking at this piece of information, which means that we're looking at these fruit flies that have red eyes as well as curled wings. So 17 of them have red eyes and curled wings. And the second question, how many selected fly offspring had white eyes? So when we're looking for white eyes, we're looking for a total of how many white eyes we have here, which we would just add them, and 5 plus 13, I could put, is equal to 18. Okay, and then explain or show your reasoning. So we just showed it. We added our 5 and our 13 there. How many selected flies or fly offspring had standard wings? So the next thing we're looking at is our standard wing. Because we have 45 and 13 standard wing fruit flies, we have a total of 58 standard wing fruit flies. So you can see we're just combining our categorical data and solving to answer some questions here. We're going to move on to some more in the next question and see how that goes for us. In this next table, this two-way table that we're looking at, the question is, what does the 13 in the table represent? Well, if we look at the column, it's talking about standard wings, and if we look at the row, it's talking about white eyes. Therefore, the 13 represents fruit flies that have standard wings and white eyes. So in the next question, it says, how many selected fruit fly offspring have red eyes and standard wings? If you look here, I've underlined your standard wings and your red eyes, and the column and rows that line up make 45. So your answer would be 45 fruit flies. For the next question, we're looking at how many selected fruit flies, and I've highlighted the 17, 45, 5, and 13, and we're going to end up with of 80 fruit flies in our two-way table. The last question, how many selected fruit flies offspring have curled wings? So the last one, we're going to be looking at the curled wings. So we look at just this column right here, and 17 plus 5 makes a total of 22. So in order to actually grasp what we're talking about in this lesson, we need to answer the following questions. What does the two-way in two-way tables mean? What does each value represent in two-way table? Use an example if needed. And have you used two-way tables previously? Well, what a two-way table means is it means that there are two different categorical variables being examined. For example, whether people floss or not, and whether people use mouthwash or not. So the mouthwash and the flossing are the two categories. For the second question, each value represents the frequency of a combination of categories occurring. For example, the 17 fruit fly offspring had red eyes and curled wings. Each value represents data from two different questions. So every value that's on our two-way table is representing two different categories. And for the last question, yes, we use them in science class when doing Punnett squares. You should have also used them last year in math class with Mr. Milbrandt. So in class, and when we were working through this lesson, make sure you're asking questions and make sure you answer all the questions of this video and submit it. Have a great day, and we will see you in class.